Hey guys, Chris here. Today I'm back at Base Camp 2.0, and I'm going to be collecting some firewood and sawing it up. I got a new saw called the Sven saw. I'll show you that. And we're going to split that, get that ready for the wood stove, make a quick dinner, and I have a story about a solo backpacker in the Eldorado National Forest of California who had a pretty strange and frightening encounter. That's next. Got this, it's called the Sven saw. It's made for canoers, backpackers. It was designed by a guy up in northern Minnesota that used to make lots of trips to the BWCA, Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness. And I'm going to show you how to work this, but we're going to cut some wood up, like I said, for the stove. And yeah, I got the cozying up the tent here. I got some good lighting, got the sleeping bag, got my chair in there now. And making it my home. All right. This is called a bow saw, and you'll see why it's called a bow saw. And it's all contained like that. Get this guy out like that, and this becomes the handle. Like that. And let's see, wait, there it is. Like this. There we go. Let's see if I can get this right here. There. Pretty nice, huh? And it is super sharp, and it's a very productive saw. This Sven saw, I got it for $41 on Amazon. And like I said, you can see that it's made for backpackers because it collapses down, and this blade is completely put away, for lack of a better word. So, all right, let's get to work. Okay, so some of you guys left some comments for some things that could help my little base camp here. I read them, I heard you. And one of them was a fireproof mat. I picked this up on Amazon. It just arrived last night at my house. CLS Outdoor Fireproof Mat. $34 on Amazon. I think it's like 31.5 by 28.5. Should work perfectly for underneath that stove. I also got a bucket filled with water to put next to my fire pit, so make sure the fires are dead out. Somebody was concerned about campfires. And got the dustpan for the tent at the dollar store, 99 cents on that one. Isn't that great? So that'll really help. These little things will really help out. And I got, somebody recommended, hey, why don't you get a welcome mat? So that was at the dollar store. I think it was $2.99 for that. So there you go. Wanted to show you guys this. Got me a beer, and I'm cooling the beer off in the creek here. Look at that. Mississippi Mud, famous slow brewed black and tan porter and pilsner beer. Isn't that great? That's gonna go with my little dinner tonight, so. All right. With dinner, there you go. That's as quick as I can make it. All I need is that, and some hot water. All right, that beer was really good. The Mississippi Mud. That was a lot of fun to drink out of the jug there. So this next story that I have is about a solo backpacker who goes to the Eldorado National Forest in California. And his encounter that he has is so frightening for him, he can't sleep for 3 months after his trip to this national forest. So, in 2005, a man named Brian decided he wanted to go to the Desolation Wilderness, which is in the Eldorado National Forest, which is in Alpine County, California, a good percentage of it. And Alpine County is the least populated county in all of California. In fact, there's 1.6 people per square mile. And the county seat is Markleeville, and Markleeville has about 121 people that live there. So that's the main center of town, and he was miles and miles away. The Desolation Wilderness is south of Lake Tahoe. It's just a beautiful area, a lot of granite areas and peaks and a lot of lakes. So Brian went here in 2005, but prior to that he had gone fishing there. He loved to go there and fish these small streams and camp, and so he decided to go there, and he invited a friend, and this friend invited another friend, so there was 3 of them. They all met up at a trail that would lead to Wright's Lake and follow the creek in, and they went in a ways, and they thought they were in the wilderness area. They started to set up camp, and a ranger just happened to come by and said, no, you guys need to continue actually quite a ways. And at this point the 2 other guys said, why don't we just go to town? We can go to Placerville and get some beer and just kind of hang out. And Brian was like, I've been wanting to do this trip for a long time, and so no, I'm gonna go on. And they at that point decided to leave, and they hiked out. And so he was now on a solo trip. He hiked in, and it was quite a ways in, and then he found this kind of granite field, which is very open, but there's stands of trees and these like forests, small forests that are on the edge of it. And he kind of got a little lost, because when you're hiking on this granite, they have rock cairns to mark the trail, because it's not really a trail, it's a route. And so you go from rock cairn to rock cairn, and a rock cairn, all it is three or more rocks stacked up in a little pyramid, and you try to follow these. But if you miss one, you're kind of in trouble, because you lose the trail. So he kind of got a little lost, but he could still hear the creek down below, about maybe a quarter mile away or so. And he came to this rock ledge about 30 feet or so, looked down, he could see the creek, saw this beautiful emerald type pool in the middle of it, and then the creek went in and out, inlet, outlet on it. And he said this would be a great place to camp, spend the night. So he went down, set up his tent, and started fishing right away. Had a really good time fishing. The sun was setting. He decided to go back. It was just a kind of a beautiful sunset, and a really good way to end what he thought was a really good day, and he was really excited about that. And the sun was setting on, I believe it was called the Crystal Range, big granite rock formation. And he decided, it's 10:30, let's get some rest, and we're gonna hit it tomorrow morning. And he's laying in bed, and behind his tent, a little bit this way towards the trees, he hears this low growl, and it just really startled him, because it was really close, and the trees were about 6 feet away from his tent. And when Brian goes camping, backpacking, especially in heavy bear country, he'll bring a handgun, and so he brought a .44 Magnum with him as little security. And so, and I don't know, there's different opinions on it. You got to be really careful if you have a handgun and you got friends, or there's other campers in the area, and so you got to be super careful. I bring bear spray is what I do. But he heard this sound, and it really concerned him, so he unzipped the tent, and he looked out, and just 6 feet away, just in the trees, he could see this shape about 4 feet high, and maybe about the same length, sitting there. And then he started yelling some obscenities at it, like, you know, just use your imagination, because he was so freaked out. It's like the fence, you know, just starts swearing at it, and the thing didn't move. So he pulls his handgun, unzips the tent, kind of steps out halfway out of the tent, and he shoots into a dead tree stump to the left of this shape, and this shape went crashing off into the woods. And what concerned him was that it didn't go very far. Maybe it went about 50 feet or so, and he could hear it stop, and then it was kind of thrashing around a bit, and then it got quiet, really quiet. And most of the time when a bear gets scared like that, he's decided that it's, you know, I'm out of here, that's not worth the trouble of this food source. It's usually some kind of food source that they're after. And they just go and go until they're gone. And this one didn't go. And so he was really concerned about that, but he was like, okay, 15 minutes later, it's quiet. And he's like, well, I got to get some sleep. So he went to bed. He's laying in bed, and the creek is off this way and a little bit that way, behind and over, and the forest was this way. And he could hear above the pool that was next to his tent in the upper creek, he could hear a rock splash, and then it hit the bottom of the creek, because the creek was only about shin deep. And that really concerned him, a big rock splash, and then it continued. Like every 2 or 3 minutes there would be another rock get thrown in to the creek. And this kept up for a long time, and he's laying there in bed, and he'd get out and he'd look, he wouldn't see anything, he didn't know what to do. And then about 2 a.m. he hears in the trees again something moving around, and he unzips the tent, he's got the gun, and he's looking around, he doesn't see anything, and he hears this, ooh, ooh, like that, but really like deep, really low, a really low sound to it. And that just totally startled him, because it was right there. It was just 8 feet away, right in the trees there. And so he thought, oh my gosh, okay. And then the rocks started getting thrown in the creek again, and he took his handgun, again fired into the dead tree stump 5 feet over by the forest there, and this thing again crashed off into the woods. And this time, when he heard it run away, it sounded a little odd, and he didn't realize until later that the sound that he heard was something that was running on 2 feet. And normally a bear obviously runs on 4 feet, and he didn't really understand what he's hearing, but it seemed odd to him that it sounded like 2 feet, but it didn't register at that moment. And again, the thing went in there, thrashed around a little bit, then it was quiet again, and he thought, okay, I don't know what this bear is doing, I don't know what's going on, I don't know if I'm making his route, or if he's used to campers and used to kind of getting his way and getting food. Maybe he wants food. He had a really clean camp, and so he decided to take his sleeping bag and his sleep pad and take it and drag it out about 50 feet into this granite area, which was more open. So, and then he found this granite slab that he thought, okay, I'll just put this on top of this slab here, and if anything comes out of the woods, at least I'll have a chance to see it. If it's charging me or something, I'll have some time to get ready, as opposed to 6 feet away. So he was out there, and he's tired, and he's very scared, but he's like, okay, kind of dealing with it. And it's a moonlit night. You can see really pretty well, especially when he's out there in the granite, because there was no shadows from the trees coming from the forest that was next to his tent. He's no longer in his tent though. And about 4:40 a.m. she showed up. And what I mean by that is, he heard some sounds, he's laying on the slab, he's half asleep, and he sits up and he hears something, and he looks over and he's scanning the tree line over here, and he doesn't see anything. And then all of a sudden, standing right next to his tent, he sees this creature, for lack of a better word, and it was about, his tent is about 4 feet high. This thing was twice as high as his tent. Just a big silhouette standing there on 2 feet, big shoulders, long arms, just standing there. And he's like trembling. He's so afraid, because this is no longer a bear now. This is something completely, it's surreal to him at this point. And he's no longer yelling at it or anything, and he's standing there, and then this thing takes 2 steps towards him. And he takes the gun and he shoots just to the left of it. The thing didn't move a muscle. And at this point now this thing is in more direct moonlight, and he can see it's all covered in hair, and it's night, so he can't see perfectly, but he could see like a whitish face, and then fur on it, and really muscular. And he's getting the gun, he's trying to cock the gun, and the thing takes 2 more steps towards him, and it happened so fast, it moved so fast, not that the thing was running, but that it closed the gap of the space between him and it really quickly, because of the size of this thing. And then he takes the gun again, and he peed his pants. He was so afraid, and he was just trembling, and he takes the gun one more time, and he shoots it. To the right of it this time, this thing took off, running really fast across the granite field, away from him, and out of sight, like opposite direction from the forest, and he saw it just disappear in the moonlight up over the rocks and this field and these small scrub trees, and it disappeared. And he was just in shock because he didn't know what happened. Really, I mean, really, what the hell just happened? And so he's leaning up against this rock, and it's about almost 5 in the morning, and he's just trembling, shaking in his skin, and he's got the gun, and he's just waiting for the sun to come up so he can get out of there. Finally, the sun comes up, and he puts the gun away, breaks down camp, doesn't even fold everything up. He just wads it up and shoves it. You know, you can wad a lot into your backpack. It's like dirty laundry or something, tents and sleeping bags and other, you know, sleep pads and stuff. You can just wad it in there. And he got out of there. He hiked out, finally got to the trailhead, and he said he couldn't really sleep very well for 3 months. And every time he fell asleep, he would hear this growl, hear the rocks getting thrown in the creek, and then he would see this thing coming at him as soon as he closed his eyes. And so he decided he was never going to go back to the Desolation Wilderness, at least during the night on a solo trip, ever again. So that is my story for tonight. That was a pretty wild one. And I've been in the Desolation Wilderness. I was there 2017, and just a beautiful area, and we had a great time. We didn't see anything, hear anything, but apparently this guy had this encounter in 2005. So, all right, you guys, I think I'm going to go to bed, and Jeanette and I are going to have breakfast tomorrow, and I'm just going to call it a video right here. So we will see you on the next one, and as always, keep hiking.